Welcome traders. So I'm filming this on Saturday, but it'll be for the Monday commencing the 24th of July. And yeah, there's just so much red news next week, which is going to create quite a bit of volatility in the markets. Definitely, I'd exercise some caution there. The main focus really for me is going to be what happens around FOMC. So my expectation is that they will not reduce rates unless absolutely necessary. The idea is to try to become used to a higher interest rate, like we used to have back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so I believe they're going to try to hold. We'll see if they're still going to, they expected, they're planning on raising about 25 basis points. We'll see if that's the case, but I don't expect them to make any recommendations with regards to reversing it. We'll see if that comes out of the statement, and we'll see. But there could be quite a bit of volatility around that. Okay, so that being that, let's go ahead and have a look at the chart. The excuse me, the volatility index, the VIX, still relatively low at this point in time. So no real changes there. Nothing that's really concerning me. When we have a look here at the dollar index, we have a bullish weekly candle off a potential sort of close to a relatively round number. We could find some support. There's a little bit of bullish divergence there. We could see that the dollar is going to continue to strengthen this week. Potentially just back up into these old highs. I'll keep an eye on that. So looking at the majors and having a look at euro dollar, I'm just looking for a possible continuation here. So we've got some contradiction there. We've got a potential stronger dollar, but we also have a very natural pullback within an uptrend here on euro dollar. Could be, and we could see a continuation of this to the upside. So what I'm going to be prepared for is for price to potentially come back down a little bit lower before deciding what's going to continue on with that existing trend. Sterling has pulled back into the recent highs. So this is the kind of area where I'd be looking for some sort of bullish continuation from here if that's going to be the case. We have almost got a little bit of a U-turn here, so we'll see if it's going to break through this level and just continue down. So I'm prepared for that. So tomorrow I'll be looking, I beg your pardon, on Monday when the market opens, I'll be looking to see on Monday whether this finds some support and continues up or if it's going to continue down. Aussie dollar as well, back in towards a level. So they're all sort of approaching levels, and I also expect that that'll be the case come Wednesday. We'll see. You can see a Kiwi dollar actually taking quite a bit of a hit that monthly, looking quite bearish, and so there's definitely selling pressure on that as well. Dollar yen producing a very bullish candle on that weekly as well, inside bullish candle, and therefore hinting at a continuation to the upside, at least back up towards these old highs. Overall, this trend is still intact. This uptrend is still intact, and it's just creeping up, just not as strong as it did last year. And dollar Swissy just very much overextended to the downside this week. I was looking for a bit of a retracement. We do have that. We have a little bit of a bearish inside candle here. You can see the 50, 20, and 10 in a bearish formation. And so it could just continue down from here close to the next level, which I've got at about 0.85. So we'll see if that's going to be the case. And then dollar CAD to me is now looking more and more bullish. We had this very nice bullish engulfing candle last week, and then we've come back down, tapped it, and broke it to the upside. So it's very much trying to turn around here. We've got nice bullish divergence. And so again, also here hinting at potentially at a stronger dollar. So there's a lot more hinting at a stronger dollar. And so that will be my plan A. Plan B, we'll see if there's going to be a reversal midweek or not. So look here, gold. So gold is creeping higher. It's not super strong. There's actually another little bit of a level down here as well. Let's see if we find support again this week. It is still trying to turn around, but it's battling with the levels of resistance and not quite enough buyers. We'll see how that holds out. We can see silver still has a bit more room to come back down into these old lows here, potentially find some support where it is now. So we could find Monday as one of those days where the markets just kick off. Mondays I tend to find are sort of splits. You know, they either just do absolutely nothing and wait until the Tuesday, or sometimes they just rock it off. So we'll see if that's going to be the case. Natural gas continues to push through this level. It is, again, still trying to creep higher, but it is still stuck within that range. Crude oils actually have had a relatively good week. They're definitely now sitting on my list. If they weren't before, this was relatively obvious. Nice little break and a retest and a bullish, and a nice little bullish candle that has formed there. And overall, it's looking nice. So I don't see any reason why this can't continue up. Certainly heading back up towards 82. That's West Texas. Brent crude also very, very nice. A little bit of a double bottom here. That was actually also relatively decent signal, and it could just continue to push up a little bit higher. All right, looking at the US indices. So very, very nice week last week. Solid breakout of this consolidation, looking very, very nice. Solid move now. Again, wanting a bit more of a retracement. And this is a nice bullish continuation candle. So it'll be bumping its head in the area where it's at now. So what makes most sense for me is just see potentially a bit of a pullback and then a continuation, and possibly that could happen. Come back in by Wednesday and take off after Wednesday. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Or conversely, it'll try and push high and then eventually have a correction once if they do that, implement that rate hike. And there's a high probability of it happening here. So we've also got a nice little it's just a very nice healthy trend. We've got high highs on the MACD. This looks relatively healthy. It's not too overextended, but nice little pullback. So for me, looking for a nice little opportunity in this area for a continuation of probably a little bit higher, looking for that to be the case. Nasdaq as well would be similar. Really nice to find something potential setup in this area. Would be great to see it continue up with that. Let's have a look. Russell's also nice. It's finally managing to break outside of this zone, so that's good. And again, any kind of pullback here, it didn't come back into this area, but somewhere around about there. Nice for it to test this and see a continuation there. The FTSE has had a really nice recovery. That is a beautiful look at that monthly candle. Very, very nice. So based off of that, I can't see why we wouldn't necessarily see this continue up this week. Might have to take a bit of a breather, but that's a very, very strong signal. And that is clearly, you can see a sign of bullishness there and very nice reaction off this level. So I like the look of that. The DAX also looking nice and bullish. Okay, so I'm not too concerned about it being a hanging man at this time, or dragonfly dojo, beg your pardon. Because we're still close to the moving averages, we're not that overextended, so I'm not too concerned about that. Again, look, there's so much insane negative media out there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's just a lot of posts talking about how these figures aren't adding up and other figures aren't adding up, and they talk about treasury bond yields and all kinds of other things. So yes, there's debt that has to be paid off, and so the GDP has to be greater than debt. There's a whole lot of things that actually have to be done, but a lot of the things that are in place right now are probably the best things that can happen in order to overcome that. Okay, and so this is global. These are global issues. But in principle, like I said, a lot of the really good things to be done are happening right now. And there's some incredible stimulus stuff happening around the globe. So we could be in a bit of a golden age in terms of an extended bullish bull market. Okay, we've had our big correction. We had a really, it's been overdue. We've had a really strong correction. The market seemed quite keen to go. There's a lot of positive things that are happening, and I could see how much negative stuff is out there. So it has to be countered a little bit. We kind of have to be a bit reasonable about it. The Nikkei. Now it's starting to look. To me, this is a bit of a bull flag setup here. I'd like to see it have a deeper correction back down to these old highs around closer to 30,000, but it might just find support where it is here and continue on up. Remember, it's because it was kind of consolidating for a very, very long time and couldn't get through this area. So it's finally free, and therefore this move up here could be a continuation of this previous move. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case. Okay, cool. Now onto the fun stuff. So having a look at Apple. All right. That's a little bit of a struggling area there. We do need to have a bit of a correction here, so that's a gravestone. And after a very, very long move, all we need is a bit of a correction here. We've had a solid breakout. I just, again, love to see this pull back down towards that 180 area, and see if it's going to do it. It's very strong. There's no doubt about it, but possibly it could just take a bit of a rest before continuing on. Amazon as well needs to just come back down potentially and test that. So we might find this week that we do get that correction. AT&T got a very nice, strong, bullish finish there. But in order for this to turn around, okay, you could see where it could potentially have found support. It really is going to have to break through this area, so keep an eye on that. ARC battling through this area, excuse me, but I do expect it to be able to continue onwards. Glencore looking good. That's a very nice bullish continuation. I expect this to be able to break through here and continue up. Tesco's looking good. It was a very nice, simple, straightforward turnaround. I like the look of that, looking good. Amex got to break through this area, but remember that it's got some nice place to go. It's not overextended. It should be able to do that. We'll see if it's going to be, if we get something this week that does that. And also quite liking how this is looking. The price action here is looking quite nice. So we've got some battling through that, but we've managed to cross that line, which is pretty cool. And actually that should leave it now, Berkshire Hathaway, to continue up to those old highs. Coca-Cola, beautiful. Very nice bullish candle here. We've continued up. We've broken these highs. That monthly looks really nice and bullish. So there's very little stopping it now between where it is and heading up. We've got BP also looking good. That's a nice little continuation candle there. Nice little bullish candle over there. Momentum is to the upside. Expect the same from Exxon. Not as strong. It's still stuck within this range, so that's definitely worthwhile highlighting just to kind of capture that, to say that's where we're stuck in, but it should be able to follow through on that. General Motors can't get outside of this. It just is battling through that area, and actually there's a bearish engulfing candle. It's probably going to find itself coming down a little bit more. JP Morgan having a good week. Also very nice, not too overextended on the monthly yet. It can start to work its way up into these old highs. Any kind of a pullback for me, retracement would provide some entry opportunities in there. Okay, and I commented here, these little markings are just for my daily live scans. But yeah, that looks good. Holding in this area looks all right. Nice little bullish candle there. Let's see if it's going to push up from here. It's a good area for it to be able to climb and continue on for Adidas. Meta's having finally having a bit better kind of a correction here. And again, I would love for this, similar to a few of these others, Apple and them, to just have a bit more of a correction down to those moving averages on the weekly, which will give them lots of room to go. Morgan Stanley's had a very, very good week throughout this consolidation and done just such a very, very big move. And we've got NVIDIA, which is starting to stall. It's still in the danger zone. So I'd like to see this have a correction. And where would I like it to see it come back down, right down into these old highs? Even further would be better. Okay, even further would be much better. I'd like to see if that's going to be the case. It's still in this area. We'll see if it's going to be able to push upwards. But because there's obviously a lot of people who are interested, but I think most of the move has happened. Netflix, wow. Okay, all right. So that is quite a sign of failure at this level. Doesn't mean it's all over. It just means that we could have that correction down to 375. So a few of these are showing signs of a potential correction, while others are not. So we could see a bit of a break between them. We'll see how that goes. This week, we really got to get across this line. Come on, man. PayPal, I want to see that for you. Spotify is also stalling a little bit. Any kind of a correction down here would, again, also be very good for these to have. Just gives them so much more energy to be able to go. And I'm wondering if there's a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern for me here for Spider. Just on that level, it's struggling to get through it, and it's still stuck within this range here. This is all just garbage. Noise, so we'll see if it is going to be able to push upwards from there. And finishing off here with FedEx. FedEx is okay. It's just slowing down a little bit. That'll likely have a bit of a correction. Tesla having a strong reaction off that level as well. So it's a relatively strong reaction off that. It's also reacting off this key level. It's also reacting off this bearish trend line. So this is important. I want to see how this finishes. It's had a nice strong recovery. It is in an uptrend. It is above the moving averages. My expectation is that it should be able to, it has broken this trend line, this downward trajectory, and my expectation is that it should be able to recover from that. So I'm likely expecting a correction back down towards these moving averages or in towards these old highs here, and then to find support will go. It might even manage to stay where it is. Okay, so that's a possibility there. We'll see. Vanguard also just coming through into this kind of major level. A little bit overextended, but otherwise relatively healthy. So I'm just expecting for most of these, I'm just looking for any kind of retracements back into the moving averages. Cryptos, let's have a look. Cryptos need to get out of this. They're really battling, Bitcoin battling with this level. No signs of it. I'd like to see if it can hold. This area is still here from last weekend. I'd like to see if it can get through that, but nothing yet. Maybe it'll get that this week. We'll see if it gets that boost from FOMC as well. Look, also all the other stuff about, all the other kind of ridiculous urban myths that we have that the, other countries, BRICS, want to move away from the US dollar and they want to tie them up against Bitcoin. All these just crazy, crazy ideas are just not likely to happen. So don't let that stuff, don't get too caught up in it. Okay, usually in reality, most of those things are just almost impossible to pull off and not really worth all the hassle. Anyway, so having a look at this, it just can't get through this area as well. So basically, they're in a holding pattern until further notice. We'll see if that's gonna be a problem over the coming week. I wouldn't. In principle, they're not not getting a lot of love at the moment, but I also can't see why they can't start to get a little bit more love. They're just, people are not as passionate about cryptos at this point in time. And part of that could simply also be because there are other issues that we have, other concerns and things that we have. Okay, so that's it from me. I hope you have a great week trading. Let's have a look. Let me have a quick look at the currency crosses just to see if there's anything there. Okay, so there's a couple of observations here. The Aussie and Kiwi pairs do seem a little bit weak, but there's a couple of things I like the look of here. EuroCAD. Potential setup here to go long. There's a potential setup there. I see PoundCAD has got one as well off these old highs. breakout of that consolidation and then a retest of it. What else? The yen pairs have actually set up quite bullishly as well. Euro yen looking close to testing that. This is a good setup here. I like this. That's a double bottom in an uptrend. That's a particularly strong signal. The only concern I have is that it's overextended. And let's just see here. Anything else? Pound Aussie. No, I don't like that setup there as well. Pound Kiwi. Yeah, that's looking good. The pound is relatively strong at the moment. The Kiwi is relatively weak. Anything on CAD Swissy? No, nothing at this time. Any kind of a green candle here, a break above here and a retest would be a buy opportunity here because we'd have a double bottom. But I'm not seeing that just yet. Some of those Swissy pairs are looking somewhat weak. Okay, that was it from me. Ladies and gents, have a great week.